Okay. Good evening. Welcome to another session of the Sea of Glass. We're coming to this understanding of the Scriptures. We have to come to understand the Scriptures. This world, unless they understand the Scriptures, and you cannot understand it in the way of Christianity. You cannot understand it in the way of the church. You got to understand it in the way of heaven, the angel of heaven inside your soul. And I'm going to point these out to you all afternoon here, trying to make you understand how your feelings work with the angel. We're going to read from the book of Exodus, and we're going to try to understand the power of understanding these Scriptures and what the world means when you understand the Scriptures and what the world did not mean before that. So go ahead, Rita, read. And
Okay, for you people following the Bibles at home, we're reading out of the book of Exodus, chapter 17, Water from the Rock. The whole Israelite community set out from the desert of Sin, traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded. They camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. So they quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink."
Okay, you got to come to understand the power here. There's a lot of angel in here. First, you got water. That's an angel. That's reality. You got to come to understand the angel of reality, which is water. You take a noun, you make a verb. It becomes life. And then you have over here, you have stones. You know, and you have the understanding of what a stone is. A stone is your faith. It's an angel inside of you. You see, what wasn't taught about the Scriptures is that you have to make it alive. You see, what Christianity does, they don't make it alive. They're making a dead teaching from the past and to the present, and you got to come to understand that, but they don't make it alive. I'm making this alive right now. You got to, you don't have no water to drink. You don't have no reality to understand. That's what it means. So you come to this desert of sin and a place where people don't understand nothing. And you have no reality to drink. You have no water to drink. And you can come to understand the power of the understanding that they're telling Moses, man, why'd you bring us here? We can't understand. We can't have anything to drink. You got to come to understand the power of this and make it alive inside your soul in order for you to come to understand what is that God has made for you to understand in these things. Now, most people will read this, scriptures like this, and they'll close the book. It doesn't mean nothing because it's dead. You have to eat the unleavened bread, which means the bread that don't rise, so you can come to understand when it does rise inside your soul, so you can come to understand the power of yourself. You see, God made us intelligent. He made us everlasting learner, and you have to learn. You are condemned to learn. You are ordered to learn. It's a direct order from heaven to learn. And if you refuse to learn, then you cannot be part of the kingdom of God. This is what it is. A Christian don't know nothing about the Scriptures, but then he said, well, Jesus will save me. Jesus is not going to save you, and nobody will save you. You have a common sense inside yourself to come to understand these Scriptures as they are. You're going to come inside your soul and understand why you cannot match reality with the truth. See, people travel to learn the Bible. That's what it means here. You're traveling in the desert, a place that you don't understand, a place there's no food to eat, a place there's no water to drink. And then you come to a place where there's no water at all, and you're all out of water. So in other words, you're out of reality. What happened to this world? Let's look at the world the way the world is, so you can come to understand that what messed up this world so bad. Well, it's religion. Religion took over the teaching of the Scriptures, but they didn't teach nothing. Christianity is totally in darkness. And the Catholic Church is even worse in darkness because they're not teaching what makes sense in the Scriptures. They're teaching what they think it is, and they don't go any further than that. They don't let the bread of life rise up inside their soul so they can come to understand that this power of human understanding that's written in Scriptures by the hand of God has to make some kind of sense, has to make some kind of reality, has to match up with the world. You just can't keep on learning nothing and think that you know it all. That's the greatest sin of all. But if you start learning something, then you will know how little you learned. How little you know, because if you don't come to understand the Scriptures in the understanding of the reality of the Scriptures, you can't cross over to the other side of life, which is the other world. You see, now we're living in the 21st century, the time that the world must come to a change. We cannot have false religion lead the content of religion anymore, because Christianity is in total darkness. I cannot see one preacher in all the channel that I go through, and we went to Seattle and all over the way, and all the garbage that's being taught by Christianity is nothing more than garbage. It's not the truth, because the truth has to come from the Scriptures, the meaning of what the Scriptures mean. Read some more, Rita. We're going to look at this thing.
So when the people quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink," Moses replied, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test?" But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?"
You got to come to understand the power. You got to look at the angel here. You have 4 or 5 angels that you have to look to understand what Rita just read there. You got Moses. Moses, the great lawgiver that's inside of you. Somebody breaks the law against you, there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of suffering there. There's all kinds of stuff. So the angel has to work inside of you. You can't say, "Well, I forgive him. Oh, my God, I forgive the guy. He slapped me on the lot in front of the whole assembly of people. I forgive him." No, you can't do that. You have to go to the teaching of the law, come to understand that what was written in Moses' teaching that forbid a man to hit another person for no reason or hit you. You have to come to the teaching. Now, these people are grumbling against Moses here. They're grumbling against the power of the angel of the Lord. Moses is an angel of the Lord, not back then 2,000 years, but today here inside your soul. You got to come to understand that this great power inside of yourself is the laws of God. It's not just the law that somebody made up along the way. It's not like the laws of man that makes no sense all the time and somebody gets punished for something that they didn't do, or somebody goes to jail for the rest of his life for killing someone. This is not like that here. It's like the laws that make sense inside your soul. Unless you come to make sense out of the law, you'll never be able to enter into the kingdom of God. The great power to be able to enter into an understanding. Now, I'm 71 years old. I'm not going to live forever, and I cannot see people growing out of that stupidity of, getting out of this desert of Christianity, getting out of this desert of the Catholic Church. You got to come to understand that that's a desert. It doesn't make sense. What they teach is not part of common sense. It's not with reality. So you have no water to drink. You come to this point and you have no water to drink. There's no reality here. The Catholic Church teach no reality. They only teach with their mind and the mind of loss and gain. The great power here is to understand the Lord your God and try to understand the way the Scripture works inside of your soul. Go ahead, Rito.
Then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I to do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me." The Lord answered Moses, "Walk on ahead of the people. Take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go on. I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel, and he called the place Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites quarreled and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?"
You got to understand now, here Moses. You have Moses here. Moses come with his staff. Staff is what? The book of Revelation. That's the staff. That's another angel. You have the power of all these angels inside of you. Now you got to come to understand that Moses tells you how to get water from the rock, from your faith. You got to hit the rock with the staff. So it comes to understand that this little mind here is not going to make you smarter, but this little spirit here is from the Lord. And if you hit that, you will come to understand within your faith the understanding of the scriptures. If you can't understand the scriptures and you keep on closing the book because it makes no sense, and nobody wants to read the Bible no more because the Old Testament just doesn't make any sense with reality, is because you have not listened to the laws of Moses. The laws of Moses tells you here that you got to hit your faith. You got to hit it, and water will come out of there. You got to keep on searching inside your soul. You got to keep on coming with the truth and the power of yourself so you can come to understand the glory that God is inside of you, in part of the understanding of the scriptures that has to come to make sense. If you let it go there and you don't do nothing with it, then what's going to happen? It's going to happen that you won't be able to come to understand the scriptures. The most saddest thing on the face of this human being is when you cannot understand the Word of God. That means that you're way out in the desert. You have nothing inside of you that affiliates yourself with God. A Christian does not believe in God. A Catholic does not believe in God. Believe me, those people are mostly hypocrite. They think that, oh, I have great faith in the Lord. I believe in Jesus. Believe in Jesus, that's not God. You know, God is your feeling inside of you. You have to believe in these feelings. You have to believe who puts these things inside of you. You have to come to understand that God is a feeling inside your temple. And when you don't understand, you hit against your faith. Look, I'm reading something that I don't understand here. What am I going to do with this? This is the way I've learned. This is the way you have to learn, in the understanding of the scriptures. God is the truth, but unless you question the stupidity and the ignorance of what was written there and make it real so you can come to understand the power of it. And we're going to see in the next chapter here, how do you come to understand the scriptures itself? By the power. You see, water is reality. You have to change all the words in the Bible inside your soul. I'm not telling you that you got to write about it. I'm telling you that if you're going to receive faith in this world, through faith from the Lord, you're going to come to understand the power of that true faith. God is the truth, and the truth will set you free only if you want to learn it. If you don't want to learn it, close the book and go back to sleep in your dead feelings. And the next thing you know, you'll make all kinds of mistakes, your life will be a mess, and everything will not. You see, what do you have here? We have the power to understand what makes a human being happy. See, people are so miserable out there because they cannot understand what makes a man unhappy. They don't understand why You see, these people, they didn't understand why that God don't give him no water to drink. Because you don't want to learn them. You don't want to take the faith into your hand and look at what Moses has accomplished, Moses, which is the great law, has accomplished for them to take them out of the land of Egypt and bring them into the land of Canaan, of milk and honey, and the great power of your natural feelings. And we're going to see a little bit more. Now, read the next part there.
Okay, the Amalekites defeated. The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, "Choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands." So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning.
Okay, now look at this now. Moses, the great lawgiver. That's the angel of the law. On this side, you have, do you understand? You have Joshua. Joshua is the angel of freedom. Try to free yourself from false religion. The Amalekites here are the Christian or the Catholic and all the people that you have to fight in order for you to understand the scriptures. And there's a battle there inside your soul. It's not going to come free. No, because if you think that you can learn these scriptures by not learning anything, well, you're wrong. You have to learn bit by bit, step by step, all the way through. So you got to fight the Amalekite. You got to fight the Christian. You got to fight the Catholic. You got to destroy their stupid faith that makes no sense, so you can get the reward that God has made for mankind. The great reward of understanding the scriptures. There's no greater reward on earth. There's nothing on earth that can match understand. You can become the president of the United States, you can become the Pope, you can become anything that you want, but cannot match understanding the scriptures. I tell you, there is nothing on earth. You can be a billionaire, you can have all the luxury of the world, but you cannot. The great luxury is inside of you. It's part of an understanding. Now you got to fight the Amalekite, because if you don't fight, if you don't go into battle, you won't be able to win. Now, Moses is there. On one side of Moses, you have love, which is Aaron. That's another angel. And on the other side of Moses, you have Hur, which is the teaching of the law. So Moses raised his hand up in the air, and the Israelites are winning. And then he got tired, and the hand can't start coming down, and then the Amalekites are winning. See, that's what happened is when you put your hand down and you don't follow the law, the teaching of the law, the respect of the law. He said that the whole theory here is to be able to understand the power of a human being. You come to understand, you have love. You have to fight because you love your fellow man. You cannot stand to see them living in the Christian faith or living in the Catholic faith. You can't stand that because you know how fake it is, evil it is, and how wrong it is for anybody to be a Catholic or a Christian. The truth is that you have to be free. And Joshua, the angel of freedom that's inside of you, is the angel that's fighting your battle down there. He's destroying the stupidity, the ignorance of the Catholic Church. He's trying to destroy the stupidity of Christianity, that you're saved by the blood of Jesus and you're saved by this, you're saved by Jesus, how long do you believe in Jesus? You see, this is the biggest bull crap ever said on earth. People cannot understand the power of evil because they live in evil and they accept it. You see, when somebody tells you something that doesn't make sense, it's not true. Why do you keep believing it? Why do you keep on going there for? because it's not true. It doesn't make sense to the understanding of a human being that has the knowledge that God has placed inside of us. God said, I give you this common sense. This is my son, my common sense. I give it to you. And you cannot continue believing in something as stupid as Christianity, as stupid as the Catholic Church. When people say, oh my God, where is it come to make a human being full of intelligence? You have to come to your common sense. You have to come to your reality. You have to look at the world that you live in, and it's a fantasy world. They create a fantasy world out of religion, and everybody jumped into it because they want to save their butt at the end. They want to go to heaven. You're not going to go to heaven if you believe in Christianity. How can you go to heaven if you believe in Christianity when it's against all of God's law? So Moses raised up his hand, and then on one side, Aaron is holding his hand, love. On the other side, the great popular herb is to have the law, respected. You can fight, but you gotta fight with respect of the laws of Moses. You can't go around killing people because you don't like their faith. You gotta remain in the teaching of the truth. You gotta remain in the power of yourself, that you come to understand that this is what makes you a human being of total understanding of the reality of truth. But you have to fight in this battle. Moses cannot keep his hand all the time. You will come down and the Amalekite will hit. The Christian will win over your soul. The Catholic will win over your soul. And as you see it now in the 21st century, Catholic is going down. Christian is going down because the Lord is destroying it. But to the stubborn Christian and the stubborn Catholic, they think they have it. They think that if they lose that, they're going to lose heaven. Well, you are already lost heaven. The battle of heaven has been fought, and you are part of the Amalekites. And every time the Lord is being raised up, you are in jeopardy of losing heaven. Because the great power of heaven is inside your soul. It's not somewhere else or going above the clouds somewhere. It's inside your soul. It's everlasting learning. That's heaven. Like I told you before, you got 7 lifetimes out of each, millennium. 1,000 years, you got 7 lifetimes in each 1,000 years. Now we are living in the understanding of that. We come to understand. You see it like when the world was flat. People didn't understand that the world was round. It's the same thing with this here. If you don't understand that the world is round, you're going to be left out of it. You think it's flat, then you're going to fall somewhere. People could have never came to the United States from Europe if they kept on believing that the world was flat. And then they start going, and they find out that the other side of the world is just like this side of the world. And you just don't fall into a hole because you are being re-educated in the learning of life. They used to believe that you would fall off the earth and you would go into this deep. It didn't make sense. This is somebody that didn't think straight, that made that theory up, and next thing you know, you have a whole world. And you used to look at the stars and say, well, these stars, and you tried to read them to understand it, but people were so ignorant, they didn't know they were planets until they find out they were different planet like the Earth. And the heavens and the sun hits on them like it hits on the earth, and the power, of the sun itself, how far the earth is from the sun. You see, all these things we had to learn in life. It's the same thing with faith. Faith has to come into a new learning, a new way of understanding life, a great power of a human being that comes in the teaching of life on earth. God, who is the truth of life. The great power of a human being is everlasting learning. I come to understand the scriptures, and I understand these scriptures and I put them inside myself, but I have a lot to learn. It's everlasting learning. I can live another 7 lifestyle in the third century, millennium, and I'll still don't know it all, because it's everlasting learning. And anything that's going to make you happy in this world is learning. The more you learn, the more you're going to be able. And this is self-learning now. This is self-understanding and self-learning, and also self-thinking for yourself. You have to understanding for yourself. This is not something that comes inside of someone that has to give it to you. What I'm doing here, I'm just trying to tell you how to understand the angel of the scriptures so we can come to understand. You see what happened here? Before, I understood that Herb was there and Aaron was there and Joshua was fighting the battle down there. I didn't understand that you had to do it in justice. You like to be free. You like freedom. Now, we've been fighting freedom for the past 200 and something years in this country, and we like to continue being free. This is the only country on the face of the earth that people, well, there's, like Canada and England and all that, you have the freedom. But the world is coming into a freedom that is very hard to live without. You think of all the country where the people have no freedom, and it's miserable to live there. And people cannot stand living there because it's not right to live there, because the law is not fair. The understanding of justice is not just there. And you got a leader that one day he gets up and he changes the rule, and you got to live according to these rules. If you want this freedom, the freedom of a human being to continue, you have to look at Joshua. You have to be free enough to understand your sexuality without anybody telling you, letting nobody tell you what's right and what's wrong. You have to determine over here. See, this is what Herb is. He's telling you here, that he's going to hold the hand of Moses. As long as you practice the justice and the fairness of the Lord. And it's the same thing with Aaron on the other side of Moses. He's holding his hand. Love, the priesthood, and all his son. You come to understand that these people, are not people of the past. They're angels of eternity. They will always be there for us. All these angels of the past. And you have to come to understand that these laws that make so much sense in the understanding. Now, Moses is not going to go into the promised land, but Joshua was. You see, this is the way it is. Freedom will go. You see, I can't really, even 10 years ago, I told you on this show here that I was going to go to the book of Joshua, but I don't think the world is ready. But before I know how long, I will tell the world the way it is in the truth. Because the power is that I may know something that nobody else knows. And I know how to understand the scriptures, so I know what these things mean and what it is. And the great war of Joshua, when he gets free there after the death of Moses and they go into the promised land, there's a lot of stuff to learn there. There's a lot of stuff to learn, because you can learn how Joshua, the freedom of a human being that is not met to be manipulated by religion. See, religion manipulates the whole world. And everybody thinks they're so right. Oh, they believe in God. No. See, you got to understand that God made a curse on mankind by putting religion there. Organized religion just came. But the true religion of the heart now, that's a different story. But what came into this world, false prophet. And Jesus tell you, many, many false prophets will appear. And they will deceive many, many, many people. Who is these false prophets in the world? all the understanding of the preacher of Christianity in the Catholic Church. And then you have the Muslim on the other side. And then you have the Buddhist on the other side. You have the Mormon. You have all these religion that comes in false prophecy, try to teach something that isn't so. That's not the way you were made. If you were made to love only one woman all your life, and then you wouldn't have the feelings of other women. You wouldn't have the feeling for other men. But see, this is what these people tell you. They tell you that your feelings are wrong. And you inside your soul look at yourself and you are. And you believe that you're wrong if you do anything against them. It's the other way around. You should think for yourself, feel for yourself, and learn for yourself. Go ahead, Rita.
When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side, one on the other, so that his hands remained steady until sunset. So Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword.
Okay, now.
You just said that.
You see, the great power, they put stone on it, your faith. Put your feet underneath the hand of Moses. Put your faith there. And then on one side you have Aaron that's holding his hand up so that you can defeat false religion. And on the other side you have the justice of the law. The law means that you hurt no one, you do wrong to no one. Those are the laws of God. He made 10 commandments in the law. Tell you don't worship a human being before the Lord. Don't worship an image before. I am one and only God. You know, there's only one God in your spirit. That's it. There's no Jesus, there's no Buddhist, there's no Muhammad, there's no Pope. And you see, there's only one God there. If you let another God slip in there, you worship against the commandment. And if you make an image with that, oh, Mother Teresa was a great woman. Well, Mother Teresa was a woman, but she never believed in God. Believing in God is believing in your feeling. She made vow against all her feelings. What made her be part of God? Because everybody thinks she was on the side of God, because to humanity she looked good. But to the truth of God and the laws of God, she made vow against her own feelings, like the rest of the nuns of the world and the brothers and the priests that makes nuns of poverty, makes nuns of silence. They make nuns, they make all these things against themselves. You know, their sexuality. They make vows, and they think they're pure heart. That's not being pure heart. Being pure heart is feeling what you feel inside yourself and trying to understand what you feel in the understanding the way you were created to be. That's having a pure heart. It's trying to understand the power of yourself with the glory of intelligence of what you are inside yourself for God and the understanding of God. God is the truth. He's also your feeling that's inside of you. And those feelings has to match what these people are preaching, and they do not match what these people are preaching against. The truth is that you're not supposed to take, the side of an image before you. You're not supposed to say, this man was a good man. Oh, I pray to him. Catholics are still praying to Saint this and Saint that. Saint Anthony. Oh, Saint Anthony. I lost my key of my car, and I prayed to Saint Anthony, and I find them. It's so stupid, so ignorant. It's the power of the ignorance of a human being to believe in the stupidity and the ignorance of it. God is the truth, and try to understand the truth through your feelings. Go ahead, Rita.
Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this on a scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven."
Okay, you got to come to understand it here, that there will be one time in the future of our understanding where true faith will take over. because, religion will be defeated. It's all written in this book here. And the battle of the heart will come to be. And it's going to come to be. It's going to be very painful for people that sold their soul to false religion. It's going to be a very painful time. Because people think that if they practice religion, they're doing what's right. And there's a big contradiction there. It tells you in the book of Revelation that, you will read the Holy Scriptures and they will make sense inside of you. They'll be very sweet in your mouth, but in your stomach, they will be very sour. This is what's going to happen to the world. You're going to come to a point that religion has to be defeated. God has to defeat it. There's no way out. And he has to defeat these people that have been praying in the stupidity of false religion for decades, from one generation to the next, and then they come to this day here that we have in our hands, where the time will come to be where these religion will have no room to preach anything in this world. Look at the Catholic Church. They used to preach in abortion. They used to preach in, they used to preach in contraception. They used to preach and have to go to church every week and how do you have mortal sin. They used to preach you have to receive this fake piece of bread that they make no magic over it, and used to preach that. But now the new generation comes and no, we don't believe that. It doesn't make any sense that a man makes magic over a piece of bread and then turn out to be the body of Christ. It doesn't make sense to our feelings of common sense inside of our soul, because God is the truth. And God, when God said, I destroyed this, I'm going to destroy it. No matter what you feel inside your soul. You can be one of the best person that the whole world worship. And then one day, the Lord proves you wrong. And the next thing you know, you become as evil as you possibly can be, because you find out inside your soul the sour of false religion, that you were taking a ride in false religion, and now the Lord destroyed that false religion right before your eyes and take it away from you. Because this is what the plan of the Lord is. I will destroy those that think that their arrogance is above God himself. Arrogant is the first sin, and it will be the last sin. For the simple people of the world, the meek will come to inherit the earth, and the rest of the world will fall into the great earthquake of the tomb, and they'll be there, and they will not be able to get out of those tombs, because the time has come for the justice of the Lord to come. Go ahead, Rita.
Moses built an altar and called it, "The Lord is my banner." He said, "For hands were lifted up to the throne of the Lord. The Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation."
Okay, try to understand this and don't turn.
You want me to read it again?
No. I got it. You see, the Lord will be against false religion forever and ever. As long as you form false religion, you believe in the heart of a human being, the people will be put in the great earthquake, and the earthquake will swallow them, and they won't be back on the earth no more, and people will come to learn the truth. All these things, all the teaching of the past pope, past priests, all the priests of all the parish will be in their tomb with them forever and ever. They won't be able to rise. Their teaching, their understanding, it will come to be no more. One generation after another will come, and the whole world will come to forget what it was like, except for the history of it. We will look at it and say, how dumb it was. How dumb it was for a woman to go sell her soul into being a nun. How dumb it was for a priest to go make vows against his own sexuality. How dumb it was for these people to do all these vows against themselves. Today we look at them and you think that, they did the right thing. But someday when the world comes alive and the world becomes an adult, you will come to see the evil of it. And it's all written down in history right now, the Son of Man. So you can see for yourself what is evil and what is good. You see what happened before, evil was written down, but they thought that evil was the people that commits crime or the people that does all these things, but you're going to come to understand that the people in high office, the people that trying to understand, and the people that did evil in government and money, in religion, and all these things will come to have an answer for their wrong against the world. Everybody that uses the power of what they was giving to them on the above of others, like a badge or an understanding that a policeman is higher than this is that, you have to count all the wrong. If you tell lies and you make people do with your badge, force people to do what you got to do, you're hurting people with the power that you have invested in you, and the Lord will go by you. You know why? Because you're not afraid to understand. You think you already have it. You have no fear of the truth because you think you believe in God. Oh, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. No, you don't believe in God if you're a Christian. You believe in yourself. You're trying to save your butt. To believe in God is to believe in justice that He has created, to believe in the law that He has created, to believe in the fairness of the law that He has created, to believe in the unity of the law that He has created. To believe in God, He has to believe in the feelings of what makes sense in the understanding of justice, in the understanding of fairness, and you cannot change that with your little mind of a Christian, the loss and gain of the mind. Because there's nothing in you that is part of God. Part of God is the truth. And if you believe in a religion that don't believe in the truth, then you don't believe in God. Everybody is affiliated with God because God has the tribe of Dan. And the tribe of Dan is you have an affiliation with a human being that is directly with God. But it doesn't mean that you believe what the scriptures read and the understanding. You believe in God. God is just a word for you. It's not the truth. The truth is written here so you can come to understand the power of yourself, so you can come to understand that the glory of heaven is there. You see the last part? Read this again, Rito.
Moses built an altar and called it, "The Lord is my banner." He said, "For hands were lifted up to the throne of the Lord. The Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation."
You see, the Lord, Moses said, "My hand was risen up to the throne of the Lord." In other words, you cannot accept forgiveness the way Christians forgive people. You see, all the dumb stuff of the past will be gone forever. You see, people won't do wrong to each other. Because right now, we live in a world that there's no altar in it. See, Moses said, build an altar in the name of the Lord. When you build an altar in the name of the Lord, that means you're going to have sacrifice on that. And people are going to do wrong to you because they don't know any better. But if you bring your altar in the banner of the Lord, that means you build your altar on the teaching of what God is. And once you begin to understand the power of that inside your soul, you begin to understand that God is with us. And unless you understand what the law is that makes God God. You see, God without the law is nothing, because you cannot follow nothing. But God with the law becomes the Spirit of the Lord. And when the Lord brings a Spirit of the Lord inside of you, you come to understand the glory of intelligence of these laws. Or how they treat your fellow man. How you bring justice to others. With that little mind that you have, of injustice that you have, with that little soul of you that think that you're a good person over everybody else, you know, the selfishness of the heart that you have inside your soul, you think that affiliated with the Lord? You think that that little piece of garbage that you have inside your soul right now, because you're a judge in some kind of town somewhere, and you treat people like garbage, because you're a police officer that total, you know, practices justice with other people? You know, do you think that little piece of garbage that's inside your soul is what matched the Lord? No. What matched the Lord is the truth. And it has to be written in the law for the power of human understanding that you come inside your soul to come and fear the understanding of the Scriptures. You see, the power of God is for human beings to understand these things. And this is what it is when you believe in God. You don't believe in what man tells you. You don't believe what the priest tells you. You don't believe what the preacher tells you on Sunday morning. You don't believe this garbage. You believe what's written in the feelings of intelligence that are written in the Old Testament of the law of God. That's what believing in God is. I mean, everybody can believe that there's a God, because we all know there's this higher power that is called the God of the earth. But you have to come to understand that that same God that's inside the Scriptures is the God that makes you feel like you have an understanding of reality inside of you. You can stand in the court of mankind, try to understand the justice of what the world is, so you can come to understand the power of these inside of your soul. But you cannot, I tell you truth, you cannot believe that you are saved with nothing. If you believe that you are saved without the law, you are not saved. See, this law here is what tells you here, what the understanding of the war with the Amalekites, that you have to speak against wrong. You have to talk against what is not true. And you gotta, I don't care if people believe you or not. I don't care if everybody hates you for what you're doing, because I went through the understanding of the law. And you try to tell a person that lives in darkness, man, you live in darkness. He hates you for that, because it's like waking up somebody in the morning that don't want to wake up. He gets mad. He throws your shoe or something. But the thing is, of the power that people fell asleep in falsehood. And that's what being a Christian is. That's what being a Catholic is a person that fell asleep in falsehood. And when you fall asleep in falsehood, you come to the understanding of this great power of it. There's another little scripture that we can read a little bit there.
Jethro visits Moses. That's Exodus chapter 18. Now Jethro, the priest of Midian and father-in-law of Moses, heard of everything God had done for Moses and for his people Israel, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. After Moses had sent away his wife Zipporah, his father-in-law Jethro received her and her 2 sons. One son was named Gershom, for Moses said, I have become an alien in a foreign land. And the other was named Eleazar, for he said, my father's God was my helper. He saved me from the sword of Pharaoh.
You see, you got to come to understand the power of the Scriptures. You see all the angel here, and I just want to talk about the angel here. Because if you read this in many ways, you're going to have to understand the power of what is. You see, God is the truth, and the truth is God. And the understanding of the great power. We're almost out of time, so, I just want to try to make you understand how to understand the Scriptures here. You see, you have 4 or 5 angels. You have Jethro. Jethro is the father-in-law, the father of the wife of Moses. Wife of Moses is the mind of Moses. It's not like you think it is. But you understand the priesthood in here. You know, the great power of million and the father-in-law. You see, you got to understand, what is a priest here? It's a person that love, and you got to understand that Levi, the love of the world, you know, this is what make the human spirit. See, God said, okay, I gave you my law, and I gave you my understanding. Now I create inside of you faith. I gave it to you, Reuben. And then I created inside of you, you know, the great power of Simeon. And he said, this is understanding. See, God created these things inside of us. That's how he made us. And that's how all of these things had to be done for the purpose of life on earth, in the understanding of what God is, in the glory of intelligence. You see, what happened is that God, who created these things to be, you know, in the glory of intelligence, what makes these things come to life? By the creation of who created it, with the intelligence of the above that created it. So you got to come to understand that, you know, these things, you know, where's Rick? Okay, we got one more minute, but I just want to explain to you these things here that are so simple in the understanding of what is. By understanding all the angel that was created inside of you. Now, Judas is your understanding of your speech. You know, Levi is the understanding of his love, the love that we have. Now, Levi had 3 sons. He had Justice, and he had Sarah. You see, this is how you understand the Bible. By creating yourself angel to match each word of the Bible, each name that comes up. And, you know, this is how you understand the Bible. Next thing you know, you can understand almost anything in the Bible. And if you work at it, you have it. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. You know, good. That's it.